You're listening to the Parents of Hardworking Teens podcast, episode 146. What truly creates momentum in your teens' study, in their assessment, in their exam prep, whatever it is that they want to be making smart, efficient progress on. In fact, there are two things that create this momentum, and neither of them is motivation. So if your teen is ever feeling like they just wish they could get motivated in order to make progress, then listen into this episode because I'm going to share with you two things that are much more helpful than motivation and will make a way bigger difference than motivation can alone. I'm Katie Jones, and with over 15 years in education as an award-winning high school teacher, international external examiner, and as a study coach, I've helped thousands of students skyrocket their results and confidence. And this podcast is where I share all my insights, tactics, and tips with you, the parent, so you can help your hardworking teen get happy, smart, and successful in their study, and have you both enjoy the journey along the way. This is the Parents of Hardworking Teens podcast. Hey VIPs, I hope you and your teens are doing super well. I have just jumped off a consult with a wonderful student and their mum, and I'm going to give you a few little details, but I'll try and keep things also kind of neutral so that, I don't want to either embarrass them or give away some of the things that they were sharing with me. But I think there's a really important concept or lesson and takeaway that is going to be really helpful for a lot of people to hear. And I see it happening with a lot of people. And I think it goes a little bit unrecognized. And I want to shine a bit of a light on it. And it's this idea of motivation, because I generally work with really committed and highly motivated students. And this particular student was saying that sometimes they find it hard to get motivated. They even like corrected me, because at one point I said sort of like, oh, okay, here's how this works, and I can tell that you're pretty committed and motivated. They're like, whoa, let me stop you there. Sometimes I really am not motivated. And they even went on to share with me this kind of system that they have developed with their parents, where when they're kind of in the zone and things are going well and they are just naturally, let's just say, feeling motivated. I'm going to come back to that word naturally motivated in a moment. But when they are feeling motivated, they kind of set themselves up. They almost like, let's just say, store some carrots. If you're thinking of carrot and stick, like I said, I'm not going to give this whole thing away, but it was really great to hear how they were just really proactive. This was the thing I loved about it. They were really proactive because they said, oh, when I'm in a really good space and I'm feeling motivated and, I want to kind of set myself up proactively, knowing that at some points I'm not going to feel very motivated. So basically what they do is like they store some carrots with their parents, right? And then when there's times that they aren't feeling very motivated and they're struggling, they basically then sort of request that carrot to be dangled on a stick for them. Okay, I hope you're going with this. I hope this is making sense. And I was like, I love it because it shows how proactive they are, how self-aware they are. But what we kind of got into was the thing that they found they were really struggling with. I'm going to like do almost inverted commas here. Motivation was, they said, particularly the sort of more open and vague tasks, their words and mine, especially in subjects like English. So they were very clear on telling me that English is not a subject that they have selected. They would rather not have to be doing it, but it's a compulsory subject. And they really do not like and do not enjoy having to write those bigger essays and those big analytical extended responses. And what I got into here with them, and this part I want to share with you, is this down to motivation, or is this down to lack of clarity, lack of direction? And when I say direction, I mean having steps, having structure, having a clear path forwards. Is it a lack of certainty that is actually keeping them stuck? Because like I said, this student, they're hardworking, they have high ambitions, they're very smart. And I think this is true for a lot of students out there. And if you're listening to this, it may very well and is likely to be true for your teen as well. And so what I shared with them is, I don't think it's an issue of motivation, because we could put on, motivational music. We could have the biggest carrot. We could have the biggest bundle of carrots. And it isn't enough to get us momentum. And this is the other word I want to bring in here. I actually want to bypass this idea of motivation just for a moment. And I want us to think about certainty and clarity, or lack of certainty, or uncertainty and lack of clarity, and momentum. Because often I think students mistake, and I think it's very easy for us to do, mistaking motivation for clarity and momentum, and that movement forwards down a direct, smooth, clear path. And so we had a bit of a discussion around the fact that they're already using the words, the more vague and, let's just say, less clear answers where, there's more than one right answer, or there's not just one right or wrong answer. And just thinking about how that feels and what that looks like when we're trying to get started. So I gave the analogy of, let's just imagine someone said, oh, look, I'm going to give you this wonderful plot of land. For me, it would be, an ocean or a water view. And you're going to have this beautiful new home. You just got to build it. And for me, I was like, I wouldn't know where to start. I know you got to kind of do some foundations before you can start building the house. I have no idea what you even lay as well. I don't even know I know it's a concrete slab. That's pretty much all I know. I don't know how deep it needs to go down. I don't know how you mix the concrete. I don't know how you lay the concrete. I don't know I don't know where to start. I know that we're going to need some walls, and we're going to need some structural components, and we're going to need to at some point put a roof on and some windows in. I know all of the what's. Okay. So what needs to go into that essay, or what that essay needs to look like or have, I know what that is. So we know, every student knows, we need an introduction. It's going to need to have some kind of hypothesis or thesis statement in there, the actual answer to the question. And we're going to need body paragraphs with supporting evidence and analysis of that evidence. We may, if it's an evaluation level essay, need some judgment in there as well. You can already tell I could talk about this forever. And we know that it needs to have a conclusion. We know all of the what. And most students know that. So it's not like, do I know what I'm doing? It's not about the what, it's how. So I know that in order to construct this house, I'm going to need foundations, walls, windows, a roof, some other stuff. Clearly, I don't know. But my motivation would be there. I am highly motivated to build this house. This motivation could not be higher. I have huge amount of motivation. I have the biggest carrot of all time. And yet I still don't know how to get started. And let's just say I take my best guess, because that's what we need to do in study. It's also what I would do in that scenario. If someone gave me that scenario with the house and the land, I would make my best attempt. But here's the thing. Would I have clarity? Would I be feeling confident? Would I be feeling certain? Would I have clear steps and structure and strategy to go about doing it? No. And I would say, look, students are going to be in a better position than me trying to build a house. I know that. They're going to have maybe 70%. They're going to have 80%. They might even have 90% of clarity and certainty and direction and clearness in that path forwards. But whether it's a 5%, a 10%, a 20% level of uncertainty, or lack of clarity, or just lack of knowledge of how to go about doing this, then that path to creating that outcome is not going to be as smooth as it could be. It's going to take longer than it needs to. And the finished output, the finished outcome, is likely to be a lower quality than if we did have structure steps, if we had the how, if we had the full training in how to do it. So what I wanted to really share with that student, and I want to share with you here today, is it motivation? I think it feels like it's a lack of motivation. Is it motivation though? Or is it a lack of clarity, a lack of certainty, a lack of skill on how to go about doing this in the smoothest, most efficient and highest quality way? And I would argue for a lot of hardworking students, for a lot of committed students, it is that how. It's the lack of clarity, the lack of skill set in breaking down that task and knowing exactly how do I go about each of the steps, each of the parts, in the smoothest, most efficient, and most effective way. And when we have that, then the momentum will come. We will know how to get started. We'll know the steps to go through. We know how long we should be spending on things. We have strategies to complete each of those parts in really effective, high quality ways. Like, how do I create a structured, high quality analysis? How do I select the most discerning evidence, the most appropriate piece of evidence? And how many pieces do I need? Again, I won't go into lots of detail on that. That's like a whole other podcast episode. But as soon as I have all of that, even though I may not love the task, Like, I'm not necessarily going to love building the house, but do I want the outcome? Absolutely. And do I want it done? Absolutely. Do students want that essay written at a high quality in the most painless, pain-free way? Generally, I would say yes. So I want to get across this idea that it's clarity and certainty and strategy and skill set that creates momentum. And maybe it's not about motivation at all. I would love to know your thoughts on this and if any of this resonates and if you've kind of seen this happening for your teen and maybe it's time to consider things from a different angle than just motivation. Because we could have all of the carrots in the world, but if we don't have the steps and the strategy and the know-how and the skills to be able to create the outcome that we need to or want to, it's going to be extremely hard to get started. It's going to be extremely hard and just hard going completing that task. And so getting the how in place is going to make such a massive difference. I hope that this is helpful. I would love to hear your feedback. You can email me support@rocksolidstudy.com and I will see you on another podcast or in your inbox again very soon. Take care. Bye. If you're ready to have your teen achieve their best possible results with less stress, then I want to invite you to enroll them in the 10-week Grade Transformation Program, where they're going to learn the key concepts, skills, and strategies to catapult their performance in assessments and exams. It's risk-free. They either achieve bigger and better results with a whole lot more confidence in 10 weeks, or we refund you in full. Just head over to www.rocksolidstudy.com/program and I'll see you there.